Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, how former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi has suddenly become an election issue at the fag end of this long election campaign. Today, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra hit back at Mr. Modi for his personal attacks, but the Prime Minister is clear he's not going to back down. Will this strategy help or hurt the BJP? That's what we'll talk about in the next hour or so. So here we are in the last leg of what has been a very long election campaign, and suddenly an assassinated former Prime Minister who was killed nearly 30 years ago has become an election issue. Prime Minister Modi's attack on Rajiv Gandhi has drawn sharp reactions, especially from the Congress, which has also approached the Election Commission. Mr. Modi, in his first comments a few days ago, had said Rajiv Gandhi had died as a Bhrashtachari #1 or as a corrupt man. Yesterday, he upped that attack, challenging the Congress to fight the election in Rajiv Gandhi's name, since he was associated with the Bofors scandal, the massacre of Sikhs in Delhi and Punjab, and the escape of Union Carbide's Warren Anderson after the Bhopal gas tragedy. Priyanka Gandhi today hit back, saying Mr. Modi was trying to hide his failures and that the nation has never forgiven arrogance.
अगर आपको पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री जिन पर बोफोर्स के भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप है, उनके मान सम्मान के मुद्दे पर मैं चुनौती देता हूं, आइए मैदान में उस मुद्दे पर चुनाव लड़िए, देखिए खेल कैसा खेला जाता है। अगर आप में हिम्मत है तो दिल्ली का चुनाव अभी बाकी है। आपके उस पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री के जिसको लेकर के 2 दिन से आप आंसू बहा रहे हो, उनके मान सम्मान के मुद्दे पर आइए दिल्ली के अंदर चुनाव लड़े। आ जाओ मैदान में।
वह अलग अलग मुद्दे उठाते हैं। कभी कहते हैं कि 70 साल से हाथी सो रहा है, कभी शहीदों के नाम पर वोट मांगते हैं, तो कभी मेरे परिवार के शहीद सदस्यों का अपमान करते हैं। अपनी असफलता छुपाने के लिए ये देश का ध्यान भटकाने की कोशिश करते हैं। इस देश ने कभी अहंकार और घमंड को माफ नहीं किया है। ऐसा अहंकार दुर्योधन में भी था। उन्हें जब सच्चाई दिखाने के लिए भगवान कृष्ण उन्हें समझाने के लिए गए, तो कृष्ण जी को भी उन्होंने बंधक करने की कोशिश की।
Well, will this whole strategy of invoking Rajiv Gandhi's name help or hurt the BJP in the final phases of this campaign? Yogendra Yadav joining us on Left, Right and Centre tonight. We have Professor Ashutosh Varshney from Brown University and contributing editor of the Indian Express with us. He's here touring some of the election states. Pawan Khera, national spokesperson of the Congress. Vivek Reddy from the BJP, and Smita Prakash, the editor of ANI, is with us as well. Yogendra Yadav, to you first. I mean, we've been talking about how bitter and ugly this campaign has been for some time. So have previous elections. But what does the invocation of Rajiv Gandhi's name and the way the Prime Minister has talked about him, I mean, what does that tell you about where the bar has been set?
Well, in this election, we should stop asking where the bar is set. You know, I think it's gone so low that no one can actually probably just see where it is. Right from the beginning of this campaign, we have been talking of everything other than what we should have been talking about. Election should be about accounting for the government's record. Its record on economy, its record on security, its record on everything that it has done so far. Account of what it promised and what it has delivered. And for the last 4 weeks, we have been discussing everything except that. We have been discussing Pulwama, we've been discussing Balakot, we've been discussing Pragya Thakur, Hemant Karkare, now we are discussing Rajiv Gandhi. Everything other than what we should have been doing. What the Prime Minister has done is wrong, not merely because it is so uncivil, so below the belt, so violative of the basic maryada that you need to maintain in our public life. Not merely because it is a very deliberate attempt at dodge and distract and derail, which is what the BJP has adopted from day one, but also because it actually lowers national character. Please remember, the manner in which big leaders speak, in a sense, sets national character. There are leaders who raise the national character. I may feel like saying bad things, but I look at their photograph I look at them and I lift myself up a bit. And then there are leaders who bring out our lowest self. This is what Mr. Trump is doing in the US. Professor Varshney would have something to tell us about that. And this is exactly what Mr. Modi is doing to the entire country. What's wrong in being bad? Bring out your worst self. The long-term impacts of that are bound to be very bad. I should clarify, I'm no fan of Rajiv Gandhi. I do think 1984 should be discussed. I do think Bofors was a scam. I do not think there is anything wrong in discussing Bofors. But those who are willing to discuss Bofors should be willing for Rafale to be discussed. Those who want 1984 to be discussed should be willing to discuss 2002. And above all of them should be willing to discuss what this country has witnessed in the last 5 years.
Right. Well, Yogendra, there's pretty strong opening comments from you there. I want to ask Professor Varshney, though, that one of the arguments Arun Jaitley has made in the last 24 hours while defending the BJP's attack on Rajiv Gandhi is that, look, Indira Gandhi was also assassinated, and yet the Congress is questioned repeatedly about the emergency and Operation Blue Star. He has a point in that, and therefore does that make Rajiv Gandhi and the attack on him fair game?
Well, first of all, there's certainly one argument in favor of Mr. Modi which should be articulated. That is on the basis of, the argument is freedom of expression. We censor speech a lot in India, and we shouldn't. Because the First Amendment of the Constitution says that there are only 3 restrictions on freedom of speech. One is considerations of public order, 2, national security, and 3, impact on relations with foreign governments. Now, the statement that he has made does not violate any of these restrictive norms. So that certainly goes in favor of Mr. Modi. But there are 3 arguments against. One is, as Yogendra has said, a dramatic and disappointing lowering and coarsening of rhetoric. A Prime Minister should be summoning our highest instincts, the better angels of our nature. A Prime Minister is not to summon, should not be summoning the basest instincts of citizenry. He should set some moral standards. Second, Bofors has been discussed threadbare, politically and legally. As far as the legal judgment is concerned, it was dismissed as not having any implications, as not implicating Rajiv Gandhi. That has been discussed a lot. So it shouldn't be compared to Rafale, which is still in court. It's not been dismissed as having no legal legs. Third, Mr. Jaitley is wrong in many ways. I think one should critique Rahul Gandhi, with whom you're fighting, or against whom you're fighting. Or one can critique Priyanka Gandhi. Rahul and Priyanka Gandhi are certainly not responsible for what their father did, or the alleged misconduct of their father. That's also a terrible argument. So in any case, other than freedom of expression, this is not an argument that the Prime Minister should have made, but we shouldn't be surprised. This kind of rhetoric is used repeatedly, and Yogendra is right, this is very Trump-like electoral and political conduct.
Well, I want to take the comments then to Smita Prakash here. Politically, it's very clear when the Prime Minister is invoking, when he's talking about the Sikh massacres in 1984 and he's talking about the Bhopal gas tragedy, etc. You have a Delhi and Punjab election that's coming up in the next 2 phases. So is this his way of, focusing back to events of 30, 40 years ago to target, this voter base, and will it work? The question is that should India today not be talking about the last 5 years of governance rather than, what happened 40 years ago?
See,
or
there
more
are
actually.
2 aspects to this: what should be and what is being done. If you talk about decency and morality and how elections should be fought on issues, there are lots of norms that can be followed, and technically, yes, we can follow them. But this election has kind of overturned all those norms. Everything and anything is acceptable, probably because it's gone on for so long and the discourse is getting more and more coarse as the time goes by. As far as politically, the Punjab and Delhi election question that you're asking me, I think the Prime Minister has laid a trap for the Congress by bringing this out and saying that, let's fight this on Rajiv Gandhi's name. The idea, like what Professor said, was that Priyanka Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi should not be held accountable for the remissions of their father. Agreed. But if they are going to be reaping the dividends of their family relationship, then they will have to bear the cross too. That having said, I think it is extremely wrong. I totally agree. I think it's extremely wrong for a Prime Minister to be speaking about a Bharat Ratna, to be speaking about somebody. He was a Prime Minister who died, who was killed in a terror attack. So there was no need absolutely for the Prime Minister. If Amit Shah said that, Yogi said that, or Jaitley said that, that's a different matter. But for Prime Minister to say that, I think was totally unnecessary. But in this game, in this election, it's really become a free-for-all. No holy cows, no deities. Everybody can be dismantled. As Rahul Gandhi said, we dismantled the Prime Minister. Somebody is called a Hitler, somebody is called a Duryodhan, and now Bhrashtachari #1. It's really that anybody and everybody can be attacked.
Well, Vivek Reddy, the question then is that why isn't then the BJP talking about the last 5 years? Is this, as Yogendra Yadav said right at the beginning, a way of dodging and distracting from the issues? Why should an assassinated former Prime Minister who was killed nearly 30 years ago become an election issue in 2019?
Well, I think the BJP, Nidhi, is putting forth all its performance report cards before the people. Whether it is Jandan, whether it is various other issues such as Ujjwala, Mudra, whatever. All these things have been put before the people. So therefore, there is no case for anybody to say that the BJP is not fighting on its report card. But the larger issue is that I agree with Smita Prakash that when you say that I belong to a certain dynasty and come before the people, well, you are putting the dynasty to test. You have to make sure, you have to say that I am willing to be challenged on all these grounds. We are not looking at some medieval kings or princes who say that, look here, you can't question me on my father's legacy. The claim of Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi today is on the pedestal of family. And there is every right in the people to question them, to ask for accountability regarding this. The other issue is, Bofors was such a big betrayal on this nation. The UPA government, previous UPA government escaped with its accountability. It asked for dropping of case against Quattrochi. It allowed red corner notice to be lifted against Quattrochi, shocking things. It allowed money to be withdrawn from frozen accounts of Quattrochi. The UPA government did not move a finger. It happened under Rahul Gandhi's remote control regime. So what is wrong when he is being questioned about this?
Also, Mr. Reddy, may I remind you that when Rajiv Gandhi was let off by the court, it was when Mr. Vajpayee's government was in power. When Rajiv Gandhi was exonerated, it was when Mr. Vajpayee's government was in power.
Against this was not an exoneration which was complete.
No, it was.
Quattrochi himself, who was the prime witness,
but
was not brought to India.
Mr. Reddy, the judge at that time said that there was no shred of evidence against Rajiv Gandhi.
It is inconclusive.
It was not inconclusive.
It is inconclusive.
It was not inconclusive. I'm telling you what the court said. It's here. Mr. Reddy.
That is your view. There could
it's
be
not my view. It's a fact.
If you
go and read what the court judgment says.
Can you come to a conclusion? Can you come to a conclusion?
I am not the judge, Mr. Reddy. The judge said there was no evidence against Rajiv Gandhi.
The prime witness.
Anyway, your point is... If you had
the prime witness, Quattrochi, whom you allowed to escape, then the story would have been different. That's the problem here.
Okay, your point is that why can they not be questioned for their father's legacy? Mr. Reddy, you have to get Pawan's response here.
Yes, I have
one second, Pawan Khera.
I have one question to Yogendra Yadav. What is wrong in these questions being asked today?
Okay, before Mr. Yadav answers that, Pawan Khera wants to come in. Vivek Reddy's point is, I think the basic point is, why should we not question Rajiv Gandhi's legacy? Smita Prakash says, if that Rahul and Priyanka will also have to bear the cross of what their father and their grandmother stood for.
The issue which Mr. Modi raised was Bhrashtachar, linking it to Bofors. 2003 High Court, who was the Additional Solicitor General? Mukul Rohtgi. Which government? Atal Bihari Vajpayee. What did Mukul Rohtgi say? He said there was no evidence against Mr. Gandhi. This is not me, this is Mukul Rohtgi. You can check with him, Mr. Reddy. He said there is no evidence. You talk about Quattroki. Quattroki's extradition did not happen under whose regime? From Malaysia? Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Who refused to appeal in the Supreme Court against the High Court order exonerating Rajiv Gandhi? Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government. Who tried again in 2017 to go back to the Supreme Court trying to reopen Bofors? Mr. Modi. What happened to that attempt? The Supreme Court threw it out. Why are we invoking Bofors? Why can't Mr. Modi say, I challenge you to fight these elections, the next two phases, in the name of Notbandi, for example, in the name of unemployment, for example, in the name of rural distress. आप इन्हीं तीनों चारों मुद्दों से ध्यान हटाना चाहते हो, इसलिए आप कभी नेहरू जी की शरण में जाते हो, कभी आप चले जाते हो राजीव गांधी की शरण में. निधि, this is the mother of all civilizations we are talking about. The Prime Minister of India has to talk like a sage and not like a delinquent. We are headed towards cultural doom if this is how a Prime Minister speaks. I am sorry, I use strong words because this is the only way people will know what we are talking about. He is behaving like a psychopath. No, the country deserves much better than that. Much better than that. Now, let me finish. I didn't interrupt. Let me finish. I'll tell you why I'm using. I'll tell you why.
When you use that language, you are defeating your own argument.
No, nothing at all, Nidhi. Mr. Prime Minister tries to normalize everything, abusing a man who is not there to fight back. Fight with Rahul Gandhi. आप राहुल गांधी को सुबह से शाम तक अजीब अजीब बातें कहते हो. We don't worry. We are ready to respond to that. But please do not fight people who are not alive to fight back. Please talk about issues that matter today. We brought our manifesto. Did we talk about our legacy? Are you talking about Atal ji's legacy? आप अपनी बात करते हैं, हम अपनी बात करते हैं. हमने अपने वादे किए, आपने अपने जुमले किए. Fight the election on today's issues, but behave like a prime minister. Please.
You are the ones who are saying Gandhi dynasty.
अरे हमारा सरनेम है भाई गांधी, हम क्या करें उसका? अब हम सरनेम बदल दें आपकी वजह से? आपको गांधी से इतनी दुश्मनी क्यों है? महात्मा गांधी से दुश्मनी, राहुल गांधी से दुश्मनी, ये गांधी नाम से आप इतना घबराते क्यों है? Why you so upset with the Gandhi surname? आपको गांधी से इतनी नफरत क्यों है? Why do you hate Gandhi so much?
This is escapism.
आप गांधी से डरते हैं, आप हेमंत करकरे का अपमान करते हैं. You insult हेमंत करकरे.
Gentlemen, one second. Pawan and Vivek, 1 second. I can't outshout both of you, please. But just give me a second.
Mr. Modi has the cheek to insult the Indian army.
I want to ask Yogendra Yadav, Vivek Reddy's question.
Don't hide behind the dynasty.
अरे आप अपनी डायनेस्टीज को देखिए ना.
1 second.
क्यों वरुण गांधी को टिकट देते हैं? क्या वो डायनेस्टी नहीं है? वेट. You only remember one Gandhi. What about Menka Gandhi and Varun Gandhi? Are you against that dynasty? Say yes.
No, the subsequent.
Say yes or no. Are you against Menka Gandhi and Varun Gandhi? Say yes or no.
All right, Pawan, 1 second.
Say yes or no. Say yes or no. Are you against Menka and Varun Gandhi?
All right. 1 second. He's on an OB.
Asking about the contaminated
Have the courage.
Okay, gentlemen, 1 second. Yogendra Yadav, I'll take Vivek Reddy's question to you again. That is, do we not have a right to question the legacy of Rajiv Gandhi or any leader, or are you objecting to the way in which it was done by the Prime Minister, no less, in an election campaign?
Nidhi, everything and anyone can be questioned. There cannot be holy cows, provided it is relevant to the debate and provided it is done in a civil way. If Rahul Gandhi goes and says, I am from Gandhi family, my family has served this country, please vote me. Of course, you can turn around and say your family has not done what you think it has done. And you don't need to speak in such a vulgar street language. The manner in which the Prime Minister has said is not merely questioning the legacy. If you hear him carefully, this is the street language. मैंने तुम्हें गाली दी, मैं पलट के कहता हूं तेरे बाप की, तेरे मां की. This is the language Prime Minister is using. You can otherwise question everything. Yes, you can invoke emergency. It should be talked about. But if you ask about emergency, Mr. Reddy, then you would also have to answer about how your government has gone out to muzzle the independent media of this country. Yes, 1984 should never be forgotten. and Congress is morally responsible for what happened. But then you will also have to talk about 2002 massacre in Gujarat and the man morally responsible for that, namely Narendra Modi. Yes, we should be willing to talk about Bofors, and I don't think only a court case exhausts it. But Mr. Reddy, if court case disclosure allows you to still talk about Bofors, then why should I not talk about Birla Sahara diaries? Why should I not talk about Rafale? Why should these things not be discussed? This is where we need, and the final point I want to make, Nidhi, is not merely about whether this was right or wrong. The real question is, what do we as a nation are doing about it? Mr. Trump says all kinds of things, but if you read the American media, they take him to task for what he has done. Is our media doing the same? And
well,
what is the Election Commission of India doing about it?
Well,
this is unfortunately one of the lowest phases in the history of Election Commission. They're just watching
can I just
it.
come in? I have
These are the questions.
Mr. Reddy, just give me one moment. I just want to get a couple of other comments and I'll come back to your promise. And first to Ashutosh Vashni, which is on this, on this point about the distraction from issues. You've been traveling for some days now, trying to see what voters are talking about on the ground. Now, what is the sense you're getting? I mean, when people talk to you, are they talking about bread and butter issues? Is stuff like this, the gali galoch on the campaign trail, all of that, is it resonating among people at all?
Well, I think there are two kinds of issues that that people are talking about in Awadh and Eastern UP. That's what I've done so far. I'm not talking about all of India. I'm not willing to generalize. I'm just reporting on the materials I have. One set of issues is clearly performance of this government. So Ujjwala is being talked about, Jan Dhan is being talked about, toilets are being talked about. No doubt whether the government has delivered its promise on all of these things or not. That's a discussion, a live discussion. The second is clearly the caste and religious arithmetic. Regardless of issues, people are talking about, what kinds of castes would vote for what kinds of parties and why. I've heard some very strong language against Mr. Modi from Dalit activists and in Awadh. ये सरकार असमानता की नीति की सरकार है. ये हमें दबाने की सरकार है. I have heard this from many Dalit activists. I've heard it from many Muslim activists who remain normally quiet, as you know, don't speak very freely. ये anti-Muslim सरकार है, ये हमें मुसलमानों को दबाने की सरकार है, वगैरह वगैरह. So there are two kinds of issues here: caste and religion related, and the other is Ujjwala and etc. But nobody is talking about Bhrashtachari number 1 or Rajiv Gandhi. Nobody is talking about even Indira Gandhi. People are talking about these issues right now. So I don't see how Bhrashtachari number 1 is either going to change anything in this election or whether it was necessary at all. It's certainly not a relevant issue according to me. Not a relevant issue according to the people I've met over the last 5 days, traveling ceaselessly from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. in Awadh and Eastern UP.
All right. Well, Smitha, your thoughts?
It just happened yesterday, so it will.
No, it happened a few days ago.
He repeated it yesterday. It will take steam.
No.
But what happens is when you're going into, like Yogendra Yadav just picked up the question of 2002 riots. Now this is exactly what the BJP wants, is for the opposition to bring up the riots, because now you're going into Punjab and the Akalis will bring up genocide. They will say that if you are saying that Modi was the architect of the 2002 riots, then Rajiv Gandhi was the architect of the Sikh genocide. That is the language that they have always used, which is Sikh genocide by Rajiv Gandhi. So this is something that they are going to pick up, because in Punjab there's no other way to attack the Amrinder Singh government. So this will resonate and it will pick up steam. But whether it should or it shouldn't is a different matter. Like what Professor Vashni is saying is that in UP, caste and religion have always been an issue every election. But I was in Karnataka, I was in Orissa. In those places, caste and religion were not an issue in both these places. It was Naveen Patnaik versus Modi, and in Karnataka, it was the coalition versus Modi. It's not, and the state and the constituencies had their respective problems, which was aloo farmer in one place, ganna farmer in the other place. So, you know,
Varshney was also saying that he can't stick his neck out and generalize.
So you cannot. So there were a variety of issues in a variety of places. There's no one issue in any one state or in any one constituency. And whether the Rajiv Gandhi thing will, every step of the way they are coming up with a new issue. The point is that the Congress is going on a back foot and trying to defend themselves. Like when Priyanka says that mere parivar ka martyr. It's not her parivar ka martyr. It is a martyr of the country. It's not. She should have said.
Who's also her father.
Yeah, correct. But Rajiv Gandhi was a martyr, was a prime minister who was a martyr. So for her, she should have said that the martyr of the country he insulted. But that would have been a better resonance rather than my father, my grandmother, my great-grandmother. I just feel that's the way the Gandhis should have played this game. But then, of course, maybe they know better.
But Pawan, I mean, is this a sort of a defensive reaction, as Smita seems to be saying?
What do you expect us to do? You expect us to keep quiet? They go and insult the army, they go and insult Hemant Karkare, they go and insult our martyrs, and you expect us to not even respond because we are walking into their trap. I am sorry, we attribute too much of strategy to Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi committed a harakiri 4-5 days ago when he said army was playing video games up till now. Then he realized what he did when all the veterans came out heavily against him. And he wanted to just distract and divert the attention from that harakiri to something more sensational, which would appear to my friend like Smita Prakash a trap. Sorry, this is a trap wherein he is getting caught, not us.
Well, Mr. Reddy wanted to come in on something I think Yogendra Yadav said earlier. Mr. Reddy?
Well, yes, Nidhi, if you look at the discussions that have taken place these elections, even before the model code of conduct were kicked into place, the Congress started saying Chaukidar Chor hai. And this campaign, vitriolic campaign, went around all through the entire nation in all the speeches of Rahul Gandhi. And I am surprised that Mr. Yogendra Yadav never came out and said, look here, this is cheap, this is debasing, because it casts aspersions against our Prime Minister without proof. Without proof you did all that. But Yogendra Yadav said nothing. But now today, when Prime Minister says Bhrashtachari number 1, then you have all the opposition. My question is, you are looking at the legacy. Rahul Gandhi has not come without the luggage of his legacy. He has come one with the luggage of his legacy. He has also come with the name of a very pure person, Mahatma Gandhi, with the surname Gandhi. So people must not mistake. Much of rural India does not know that they think these are Mahatma Gandhi's children.
Oh, for
people
God's
must
sake,
not mistake.
nobody thinks that.
We must know who are these Gandhis.
Mr. Reddy,
We must know who are these Gandhis.
No, people are also confused between Narendra Modi and Lalit Modi.
People in the rural areas, forget rural areas.
Come on, nobody is confused. Nobody thinks Rahul Gandhi is Mahatma Gandhi's grandson.
Must know.
One second. Professor Varshney wanted to come in first. Professor Varshney, you were making a point. Sorry, we couldn't hear you.
I think if you say, once again, on freedom of expression grounds, suppose you don't like Rahul Gandhi saying Chaukidar Chor hai, then you say Rahul Gandhi Chor hai.
Exactly.
How is Rajiv Gandhi involved in all this? Right? Why are you bringing him in?
Why not?
And in any case,
Why
if
are
you
you,
want
then
to take
why
a
are you
position,
backing? Why are you taking support from the Gandhi name? Why are you saying I belong to a dynasty?
He's his son. What does he do?
आप नीरव मोदी की मदद लीजिए, हम गांधी की मदद लेंगे, हमारा सरनेम है।
सर्च कर रहे हैं।
Will Mr. Gandhi be given the president's job? He was a simple karyakarta. Mr. Vasnik, will he be given
He's
the
won
president's
4
post?
elections
He's
by
a
now.
simple
4
karyakarta.
इलेक्शन जीता है भाई, कुछ तो शर्म करो।
Because he is
But
Rahul
election
Gandhi's
से
son.
आया है।
But Pawan, I think
He
what
gets-
Vivek,
he
Mr.
gets
Reddy,
the
one second.
president's post.
Let me help you
So
a
this
little
is
bit here
dynastic
by
power.
articulating.
He's
No, I'm
answering the
articulating
question.
his argument differently. I think what he's trying to say is that this has been an ugly campaign from your
Yes.
side as well.
Okay, I'll respond to that. हमने कहा चौकीदार चोर है, आप हमें गाली दीजिए ना। हम तो कह रहे हैं रफेल पे let's have a debate. You don't even want to talk about Rafale. You want to talk about Rajiv Gandhi, with
It
whom
was
you
already
cannot
being
have a
debated
debate?
in the Supreme
Hang on,
Court, Pawan
you cannot
Khanna.
have a debate.
What more debate you
Where is
want?
the clean sheet?
The Supreme
आप लोग
Court
तो
on
कहते
the
हो
first
Supreme Court ने
premises
clean sheet.
set aside the case.
You lied before the Honorable Supreme Court, the first Prime Minister who also lied before the Honorable Supreme Court. Therefore, the Supreme Court is now hearing a review petition. Supreme Court is hearing a review petition because you lied. You concealed the fact that they were holding parallel negotiations with
it
the
was
French.
not a lie.
Well,
अरे वाह, ये झूठ
we
नहीं
will let you have a separate,
review
we will
petition
have
क्यों
a
होता?
separate debate on Rafale later, but I think the point is
Face the Rahul Gandhi legacy. Face the corruption of Gandhi legacy.
We are ready to fight on every issue. Come, let's have a debate on Notbandi. Let's have a debate on Notbandi right now. Let's have a debate on GST right now. Let's have a debate on 15 lakh. Let's have a debate on Naukri. Have the courage to come and have a debate with the man who's living and ready to fight with you.
all right. And
अरे हमको
I have to wrap up.
हमसे लड़िए ना.
I
नहीं उससे क्या
have
लड़ेंगे
to wrap up. आप अलग से उनसे लड़िए. But you know, we still have 2 weeks left in this campaign, and I said, God help us, about 2 weeks ago, and we still have 2 weeks to go, and this is the end of the campaign, by the way. So I don't know what else to expect, but here is hoping that at least as far as real bread and butter issues are concerned, I think most people would probably be paying attention to those at the end of the day, rather than some of this ugly rhetoric that we're seeing. Thank you to all of you for joining us on NDTV tonight.